Vote 15-9. Former Secretary of State Powell, former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff as well, voicing his opposition in a letter to Senator McCain released this morning that any changes to Article 3 could adversely affect the treatment of captured American soldiers. Quoting General Powell, "The world is beginning to doubt the moral basis of our fight against terrorism. To redefine common Article 3 would add to those doubts. Furthermore, it would put our own troops at risk." The administration's response to its Republican critics, simple and simply predictable and extraordinarily familiar. They must be confused.
Do you think that Colin Powell, a former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, is just confused about what you're trying to do?
Yes.
And you think that he would write a letter like this without an understanding?
I don't know. It's interesting. We didn't hear from him, so I don't know.
Well, how do you account for the fact that 3 Republican senators oppose you so vehemently on this?
It's a free country. You're allowed to oppose, and what I'm suggesting is that there's still ongoing conversations, and I wouldn't prejudge.
Critics of this, Republicans that you've talked about, think that you are seeking to alter Article 3 because you are in effect lowering the standards of Article 3 by the elimination of this this language.
No, it's a straw man. As a matter of fact, what we're trying to do is we're trying to reach out and work with them to come up with the issues.
But you're defining it in a way that does not address outrages upon personal dignity, in particular humiliating and degrading treatment, because you find that to be vague.
No, all of it is vague, and therefore what you do is you try to provide some clarity by saying, here are the subset of behaviors that we think fall under those terms. I think we're talking past each other here.
No, you're certainly talking past the people who oppose you, and so well, maybe you can help the country understand, because I can't imagine this is clear.
Okay, well, I don't even understand the question. What exactly is it?
You claim, all right, I'll restate the question. You claim that you are not redefining Article 3. Everyone who opposes you on this, from Secretary Powell to Senator Warner to Senator Graham to Senator McCain, says, in effect, you are trying to redefine it by excluding language you consider vague that they think is actually important.
Oh, thank you. Oh, no, that's okay. Thank you. No, we're not excluding it. We're defining what that language means. Oh, heart be still.
You do not address the language that you think is vague, which is in Article 3 now, which has to do with outrages.
No, you do. No, I don't know how I can make it clearer. What you do is you say...
You can, Tony. I mean, you may think I just don't get it, but I mean...
well, I do. And,
okay.
and
well, let me suggest to you that if I don't get it, then I bet there's a lot of people who don't get it as well.
As his boss, President Bush, had made it before him, Mr. Snow also claiming today that the CIA's interrogation of detainees had led to the breakup of at least 8 specific purported terror plots. But even as the White House is arguing over what it should be allowed to do to the terror suspects it already has, comes word from Mr. Bush himself that he does not even care if Osama bin Laden is ever captured. The president telling conservative pundit Fred Barnes in an interview that emphasis on bin Laden does not fit with the administration's strategy for combating terrorism, saying that the terror leader's capture would not be the best use of America's resources. Mr. Bush adding that he has never been more convinced that the decisions he has made as president are the right decisions. The Bush administration also facing a challenge from the Nuclear Watchdog Agency of the United Nations over the evidence it is choosing to cite about Iran's nuclear capabilities. The IAEA complaining to the Bush administration and to a Republican congressman about a recent House committee report calling parts of the document outrageous and dishonest for containing some, quote, erroneous, misleading, and unsubstantiated statements. You may recall that the IAEA openly clashed with the administration on pre-war assessments of Saddam Hussein's weapons of mass destruction. Former nuclear inspector David Kay saying now, quote, this is like pre-war Iraq all over again. Earlier this week, when asked by NBC's Matt Lauer if he had a smoking gun proving that the Iranians are enriching uranium for weapons purposes, the president cited what he called compelling evidence from the IAEA of an illegal Iranian enrichment program.